Hello, welcome everyone. I decided to make another sound design video because I finished a beat, and I think every time you finish a beat that it's a good moment to just recap everything you did and just think what was the coolest thing that you did in there, and when you found it, then it's cool to just talk about it, in my opinion. First of all, let me just play back the beat. Alright, so I don't know. What did you guess is the coolest thing in this beat? Let me know in the comments. Pause this video here and just think of it, and then let me know in the comments if you feel like interacting with me. And if not, then we are going on with the actual video now. Now, there are three things that I was thinking about when I was asking myself, what should I do? One of them is I could make a video about the massive wobbles. But I thought to myself, well, they are very artsy, but you might not use a sound like that in a lot of occasions. So it's not like something that always works very well. Another thing that I was thinking about was I could make a video about this. But that is actually not really worth a video because it's basically just a delay with OTT and phases in the delay loop, in the feedback loop. I mean. Even though I'm a bit confused now because I thought I was using a frequency shifter somewhere. Yeah, that's kind of confusing now. Anyway, I must have, I don't know, remembered that wrong for some reason. Now, what I really want to talk about today is this neurobasish sound that I got here. And that I also got here. Because this is the first time that I was able to make a cool neuro sound, and I'm very proud of that, and I just want to talk about it for that reason. Now I'm playing it just with my keyboard. Different octaves. Whoa. Yeah, so it definitely has its sweet spot. It's not like can do anything with it. But what is it even? Let's just turn off all the effects and just play this little part here. Oh, that does not sound very wild. I am using the synthesizer Vital, and I use this feature where you can type in a text and then you get a wavetable. I don't want to use that now. And I typed in the word global, but you can type in anything you want. The thing is that's interesting is just that you have to attach an LFO to it so that it can move through the word in a cool way. As you've seen, it uses this LFO shape that I came up with, and it looks rather arbitrary because it is. And yeah, I was not trying to make it sound like the person says global. Global was just a word that came to my mind when I made this patch, so I used it. Doesn't really matter which word you used, as long as it sounds cool. You just have to make sure that the sound always works the same, and I'm doing that by turning down the phase randomization to 0%. Also, I make sure to add a little bit of attack, but I at least give it this kind of shape so that it feels like it has no attack, even though it has, so that it does not sound clicky. And then yeah, I got started. I took 2 of the oscillators on different octaves, and you can always just use these things to make it even more fancy and cool. And on the second one, I used an FM modulation to the first one, so that they are sort of connected to each other and also create a lot of fancy overtones that are kind of cool. And I think that's it with this preset. Well, it is a monophonic preset and it has a bit of glide, but it's almost unnoticeable. Now there is this other sound here, and it works like this. I have got this macro here, and what it does is it essentially just pitches the whole thing up a bit. I think this is an octave and this is maybe an octave and 7 semitones or so. And that's basically it. It's just making a little. I'm wondering if there was another thing that I even used in here. No, I don't think so. I did not even use the filters, so sometimes you can really get away with not a lot of stuff in a plugin, and then suddenly it gets really cool. Now in Bitwig itself, I used the multiband thing. I did not even use anything on the low band, but on the high band I used Ozone Imager to just stereoize the thing a bit. And that makes a lot of a difference. And yeah, I really like the stereoizer of Ozone Imager. I don't know how they are doing it to stereoize something without introducing, you know, phase issues and stuff like that, but they somehow do that, and that's cool. And yeah, then I put OTT on it. You're probably not surprised about that. Now I have a little plugin here called SIG Filter. No, just kidding, it is actually a container. And this container contains multiple things. Because in Bitwig you can apply a modulation to everything in its container. So it makes sense to apply the modulators to containers so that you can be very flexible with the actual modulation. Now what does the modulation do? Well, it is a beat LFO, which is, I think it is just a tempo sync LFO, so that it's a little bit easier to dial in tempo sync than with the other LFO of Bitwig. But I don't know. Well, it works at least. And Rift Filter, as I've said many times before, one of my favorite filters at the moment, has this nice little preset, or not preset, but like mode called Flutter, which is, I don't know exactly what it is doing, but it's basically interpolating between a lot of different filter types. And if you just play that by itself, it sounds kinda edgy. Like whoosh. It does not sound very nice, especially not when turning up the resonance so massively. But turning up the resonance massively is important, because when you crush it with OTT then it will come back to normal, but in a way that is really fancy. Better than as if you had no filter. Now at this point you could also use the spread parameter to just add some stereo width if you wanted to, but I did not. And then in the next section, the multiband effects, I actually kind of try to make it a little bit more round. For example, by adding a bit of compression to the low end. And you have to know, if you're not a Bitwig user yet, then I will have to tell you that the built-in compressor of Bitwig is very aggressive. These settings look rather conservative if you had settings like these in Pro C, from how the knobs look at the moment. But in Bitwig, these are already very hard settings in the compressor. But the compressor is not only hard, but also has a very cool sound. I really like it. So that's very cool, because when I was still a Cubase user, I did not like the stock compressor, and now I finally have a DAW where I really like the stock compressor. That's cool. Now on the mid channel, I used the mid-side conversion thingy because I wanted to apply heavy compression, even heavier than before, on only the side, with the goal that it creates some high end that like goes out of the mids and into the highs, so that the high end has even more high end in some way. One thing to note here, if one of the Bitwig developers is watching, I really like the workflow of these things, but what I would like to have even more is just a plugin that converts a signal from left-right space to mid-side space, so that I can just basically make a chain of plugins that are only applied to mid-side with their left and right channels, and then, you know, apply the same plugin again to get it back to left-right space. That would be cool. Sometimes I felt like that would be a better workflow than having it like this. But having it like this is also cool. Now, now the high end has a bunch of SOOF. Because if it did not have that, then it would be kind of harsh. Still, because of the resonance, of course. But as I said before, if the resonance did not have been there, then the OTT instance that was right in front of the filter would not have had such a nice effect. So sometimes it's important that you make your sound crappy first before you make it cool. And then plugins like these bring it back to being cool. And then there is Spectra, just to add even more high-end fanciness and stuff like that. Well, and then in the end, oh, we have already been in this end sequence all the time, I just realized. Well, it has a little bit of an automation, and the other part did not have an automation. It just has this normal sound. And now there's also this little part here. And now we can enjoy this beat again, and you can just listen and focus on the Neurosound and how it fits to the rest of the music. And yeah, let's just do that. Okay, I always really enjoy making these videos that are not about coding and also not about checking out plugins, but just about using plugins that I already know very well and that I'm not confused about, but just, you know, natural with them. Because when I made this YouTube channel, I actually wanted this to be a channel where I am just making beats and just share this nice experience with everyone, how it feels to make beats. Maybe even, you know, make videos where I'm getting lost in the magic something that gets lost in most influencers' videos because they are so fast paced is that when you really make music every day, then you get into this emotion where you feel more of the music than normally, and where you understand why making music is important, something that you might lose sometimes if you don't make music for too long. And then it kind of happened that I also made other stuff on this channel, and now it seems like my channel is more about programming, which it kinda is, and that's okay. But I don't want to lose this particular meaning of the channel, because at the heart of plugin development is always that plugins must be there to fulfill our desire for this connection with the music. And in order to not lose that, we have to make a lot of music. And sometimes we don't make a lot of music. But I just made some music and I think it's pretty cool. And that's how I end this video.